Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. I'm going to show you our water crossing that we made in a minute. I just got sidetracked. That is a heifer from last year. She is a beaut. So she was exposed to a bull at 15 months, and I think there's 40 of them in here, 45 of them. Carbon copies of her. Just beautiful, slick, oily hided animals. This is my water crossing. So we went up high here and carried the power over. So we've got about a 50-foot opening here. It may be closer to 60. It's wide. On a water crossing like this, where I'm giving them limited access to this creek, I actually went down and crossed it and went around the opposite side of the bank and then came back up over here. So I tied on cold on that side. It goes into the woods, and it goes all the way around the creek, and then it comes back over here. It hooks on hot. So when we leave, this reel will come out along with all these step ends. And so when the creek does come up, which it always does if you get a big rain, I've never seen this creek out in this bottom. I'm sure it's probably come out, but I haven't seen it. The next farm down, Dave and Sue's, it does come out. I've seen it on that bottom. So what we did is down here in the more sketchy part where it gets a lot of pressure put on it, where they're actually the creek will be flowing. We drove these are 6-foot fiberglass rods, 1 inch. We put our patented little hook there. I love those hooks. Jacob came up with that many years ago. Anyway, this is, there's beaver in here. The beavers cuttings are right around that corner that away, and we've got beaver back this way. There's actually 2 different families of beavers in here. Got a nice flow. Got a nice flow here. It's clean water coming in. They're going to be on this one. The current, because of the wind, it looks like it's going this way, but it's not. It's flowing that way. But it's a couple foot deep on that other side over there. This has all got rock underneath it. There's a little bit of sand, but we had a heck of a time driving these fiberglass rods because you just had to keep playing with it. And Joel and I were hard-headed enough, we just didn't give up. But I ran out of good step ends. I'm sorry, bad ones. I've got a whole pile at the house. I just didn't bring enough. We've got some old step ends on most of this. So if the creek would come up, I might lose some old step ends, but I'm not gonna lose. I don't wanna lose that post right there. You know, that's a $4 to $5 bill right there. That's an O'Brien, that's a brand new one. These old ones are 20 years old, and they've had a useful life. I still use them for instances like this, but here's another one of my corners. Always drive the corners in the angle of the current. So if the current's going that way, you don't want to point the post into the current, you want to go with the current. So they're all driven at a 45. So in the that post right there is going to have 5-6 foot of water over the top of it. And that little curly Q, it'll hook a little bit of grass, but there's not enough restriction there to build up a big pile of trees around that. Okay. Got another one on that side. You can see it's driven at a 45 up on the bank. That's in the ground a little over 3 feet. And they come all the way down through here. I Thought I heard a cow coming. See, the cows have never been down here. What I did is I pulled the mineral feeder right over to the edge, just so they know they can come in here. They'll find it. And they'll come down here and get them a drink today. See, we're not gonna be here over, well, this particular water point has 2 moves on it. So they'll be here 24 hours and we're gone. And they won't be able to come back to it. I'll show you what it looks like over here. What is that? Oh, that's a coon. Coon's been digging for a, he must have smelled the clam. Oh, there's a crawdaddy. Right there, a dead one. Wonder if that's what's left over from the coon dinner. Looks like the coon would have ate all of him. When I was a little kid, you give me a creek like this, and I'm good. I'm good for the whole day. Man, give me we come down, me and my cousins, they had a creek like this down by their house, and we spent the whole day on the creek. We never came back to the house. I'm serious. This is a little boy's dream down here. You can always make up all kinds of neat games and things to do down here. And we'd catch fish and crawdaddies. We even had bow and arrow. Some of the deeper holes of water had little bluegills in them and bass, and we'd sometimes get one with a bow and arrow, and we'd get us a little fire in the sandbar here, and we'd cook that fish up on a stick. Oh man, nothing like it. Nothing like it. We were survivors. I still remember the name of our club. It was called the Woodlandville Explorers. Isn't that crazy? See, that would have been about 55 years ago. I still remember the name of my club, our little club. Yeah, we were really out there, man. Woodlandville Explorers. Anyway, this is just a perfect place to have a great time as a kid. I can hear the cows up here. They're hitting that mineral feeder. Jan waited for me up at the four-way. See, you can see this creek gets up. See, I'm 8 feet now above water level right here. And that's debris. Well, there's some even higher. Right here, see that? That's leaf litter from the last time it rained, which would have put the water level right where I'm standing. Right here. So that's a long ways down there. I would say that water can come up 12 feet. So you sure don't want any permanent fence in the way of that. Just let the creek go. And they're starting to find the mineral feeder. There's a few over there standing there looking at me. Coon den. Fresh. Been a coon in there. There they are. Oh, I spooked them. They didn't know I was in here. It's okay, girls. It's just me. But man, we weren't sure it might have been a predator. Once they see who I am, they chill out. They're all getting them some mineral. They're explorers, though. They'll find that. So yeah, there's the other side of our water gap, and our power is going up and over, clear over to that one over there. So there's no chance of anything hitting that. A little bit of shade in there if it gets hot, which it will. This is the first time this has ever been grazed. Folks, this is one of my, back in the day, this was all owned by an old man. His name was Jerry Smith. And he had, I think it was 520 or 580 acres in here. And Jerry worked up the same spot that I did in town at AB Chance Company. Anyway, this was my route. I would come down through here at least 3 to 4 times a week on Judy, my jumping mule. And I had a jumping mule and my coon dogs, and we would come down through this creek coon hunting. And I remember this bottom, it was always in crop. Soybeans, milo. It wasn't good enough soil to grow a crop of corn. Mainly soybean. And the soybeans got about 8 inches tall. I don't think he ever made a crop. But the guy that was running it had crop insurance. And so, you know, basically every year he would get a payment from the government because he didn't make a crop. He finally, Jerry died, and it was his nephew that farmed it. He had an old D17, a D17 Alice Chalmers. And he plowed this, all this. There's probably 200, yeah, probably close to 200 to 300 acres of bottomland on this farm. He plowed every bit of it with a 2, I think he had a 2 bottom. It might have been 3. I think it was a 3 bottom plow. And I can remember coming down through at night, and it was just a poor old farm. And when Clay bought it, he put it all to grass. That was the best thing he ever did. And it's been in grass since, gosh, when did Clay buy that? It must have been in the mid-80s. Yeah. Yeah, it was in the mid-80s when he bought this. And might have been, yeah, about that time. Anyway, it's been in grass ever since, and that's the way it should stay. Because it's very poor soil. It still has some broom sedge on it. We've got some work to do, feeding hay on this to hopefully get that broom sedge taken care of. It's pretty thick in a few spots. I was surprised how thick it is. But we're gonna take care of that. Cows still haven't ventured in there to get him a drink. Yep. You know, back in the good old days in the 80s, there wasn't anybody lived out here. I lived over at the log cabin, which is about 2 miles straight that way. Folks, there wasn't anybody in this whole section. There's about 2,000 acres in here. Nobody lived here. Nobody came out here. And it was just like you had the whole place to yourself. And me and my mule, Judy, we could hunt through here all night. You never heard anybody. You never saw anybody. It was just unbelievably awesome. Listen to the dogs tracking raccoons. Yep. I do remember those days. I still got pictures of those days. And it was a good time, you know. I'm glad I got to live through those times. It's no more, because there's no more hunting for fur. We did it as a way to earn income, and it was also very pleasant. It was a wonderful hobby. But back in the day, you know, for a coon, I remember I saw ladies in dresses jumping out on the highway. They'd pull over and they'd grab a coon by the tail and they'd throw it in the trunk that had been hit on the highway. I'm serious. Coons are worth $40 to $45. And that was in the late 70s. Folks, that would be equivalent today of a $100 bill laying out there on the highway. And they would grab those coons. I mean, you did not see a coon that was hit that laid on the road more than 5 minutes. Somebody got it. They knew how much they were worth. So it was common to make more money coon hunting during the season than it was your town job. And you had a blast doing it. So from a country boy, it was a win-win. But unfortunately, there's no market for fur anymore, and those times are gone, and you know, I'm just glad I got to live through them. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm enjoying watching the cows eat their new piece of grass on this piece of bottom land that we just got. Those y'all new to the channel, this is a 30-acre tract, actually 27, 28 acres, I think. We didn't get the hilltop up there. There's 10 acres up on top. But very fortunate for what we got, and Ryan let us bring the cattle down in here. And we built a one-wire fence all the way around the whole property. And when we leave, all the poly wire gets taken up. There's nothing to restrict movement. And we just put a solar charger on that fence and energize it. We're pushing 3,000 volts right now. That's pretty hot. Jan accidentally got touched with it yesterday. And she can attest it's hot. And I need to get going. She's over there waiting on me. She is a trooper. We're short-handed this week. We got a few people out with the flu, and or one, and we're on the 3rd day of that, so he should be getting a lot better. We just want to make sure everybody's well. We don't like people working if they're not feeling well. There's nothing in the world worse than having to work when you don't feel well. I've done it. It's not pleasant. They still haven't went in there. I bet they do here in a minute. I can't pull that minnow feeder in any deeper than that. They'll find it. They're cows, right? Folks, y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time, and stay cool out there. We're going to have another scorcher today. Take care.